world in the 21st century. A marvelous and exciting place, reshaped through time by science and technology. From the Pythagorean theorem to the space shuttle, mathematics and science have been the keys that unlock the planet's mysteries. Only a nation that excels in the fields of mathematics and science can expect to increase its economic productivity and succeed in improving the human condition.
As a leader of a global company, I know how important it is that our students be prepared to compete in a global marketplace. And in order to compete in a world being driven increasingly by technology, they simply must acquire math and science skills that are second to no other country in the world.
Because technology has created a truly global marketplace, today's mathematics and science students will enter a workforce full of competition, not just from their classmates, but from students from every other classroom in the world.
Parents want to know that their children are well prepared to function in this world, and they also want to know how to measure their child's success in a global society.
So how do U.S. students compare with students in other countries?
There's a report today which states that in two critical areas, math and science, American students do not match up very well with other students in other countries.
TIMSS stands for the Third International Mathematics and Science Study. It is the largest, most comprehensive, reliable comparison of education ever undertaken. 41 countries participated in the rigorous study that tested the mathematics and science knowledge of 500,000 students in 30 different languages at 3 different grade levels. In addition to testing students throughout the world, TIMSS researchers analyzed textbooks and curricula in the TIMSS countries. They also conducted videotape studies of 8th grade mathematics classrooms in the United States, Germany, and Japan. This combination of quantitative and qualitative data makes TIMSS unique. Initial TIMSS data, released on November 20th, 1996, focused on 8th grade student achievement in mathematics and science. Findings on curriculum, learning expectations, teaching practices, and teacher and students' lives were also reported.
Our initial TIMSS findings for grade 8 show that American students are not where we expect them to be. We're far short of our goal of excellence in science and math.
In mathematics, U.S. 8th graders scored below the international average of the 41 TIMSS countries. Japan, France, and Canada outperformed the U.S. Our scores are not significantly different from Germany and England. In science, U.S. 8th graders performed better than they did in mathematics, above the international average of the 41 TIMSS countries. Although the U.S. scored below Japan, we are not significantly different from England, Canada, and Germany. Our students' average score is higher than that of France. One criticism often leveled at international studies is that the U.S. compares all its students with the brightest students of other countries. This was not the case in TIMSS, where a representative sample of all students in each participating country was tested. TIMSS data show that if the top 10% of all mathematics students in the 41 TIMSS countries were selected, 5% of U.S. students would be included, compared with 32% of all Japanese students and 45% of all Singaporean 8th graders. In science, 13% of U.S. 8th graders, 18% of Japanese, and 31% of Singaporean students would make the cut.
The results of TIMSS show that our students are really not where they need to be. But this report tells us a lot more than just how our students are ranked. It gives us important information on how we can improve science and math education in our schools. So I encourage teachers and parents, business leaders, the higher education community, and all those concerned about education to get this study and take its results to heart.
Initial TIMSS results demonstrate several factors contribute to U.S. student performance. In all countries, the relationship among standards, teaching, and learning is complex. This is particularly true in the United States, which, unlike most TIMSS countries, has no nationally defined curriculum. TIMSS data reveal the content of U.S. 8th grade classes is not as challenging as that of other countries. Topics covered in U.S. 8th grade mathematics classrooms are taught in the 7th grade in other TIMSS countries. Virtually all German and Japanese students study algebra and geometry in the 8th grade, while only U.S. students in higher-level 8th grade classes receive significant exposure to algebra, and few study geometry at all. TIMSS also found that topic coverage in U.S. 8th grade mathematics classes is not as focused as it is in the classrooms of other countries. U.S. students learn about more topics, but less deeply than their foreign counterparts. However, in science, the depth of focus is more comparable to the other TIMSS countries. One surprising result revealed that U.S. 8th graders spend more hours per year in mathematics and science classes than German and Japanese students. TIMSS includes the first large-scale observation of U.S. and international teaching ever undertaken. While the findings cannot tell us about the success of current teaching reform efforts, they can form a baseline against which future efforts can be compared. TIMSS videotape observations found U.S. mathematics teachers' typical goal is to teach students how to do something, while Japanese teachers' goal is to help them understand mathematical concepts. While most U.S. mathematics teachers report familiarity with recent reform recommendations, like those of the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, only a few apply the key points in their classrooms. In contrast, many of these practices are used every day in Japanese classrooms.
TIMSS tells us that having voluntary national standards and state standards is simply not enough. We must really concentrate now on professional development and on getting the message through to teachers about what they need to do to make their teaching much more focused, and to teacher educators about preparing teachers to go into the classroom to teach to these new standards.
As a math teacher, TIMSS is important to me because it reinforces the recommendations of the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics. The study provides concrete data on how hard U.S. classroom teachers work, but it also shows that we are trying to teach too many math concepts without helping students develop deep understanding of the most important material.
Focusing on teachers' lives, TIMSS reveals important information about the training U.S. teachers receive before entering the profession and the regular opportunities they have for on-the-job learning and improvement of their skills. While U.S. teachers have more college education than their colleagues in most TIMSS countries, Japanese and German teachers undergo long-term structured apprenticeships before they begin teaching. And Japanese teachers have more opportunities to discuss teaching-related issues than do U.S. teachers. TIMSS also found that student diversity and discipline are challenges not only for U.S. teachers, but for German teachers as well. The study also looked closely at students' lives to find out what motivates them, what support they receive, and what obstacles they face. TIMSS found that 8th grade students of different abilities are typically separated into different classrooms in the United States and into different schools in Germany. In Japan, no ability grouping is practiced at the 8th grade level. In mathematics, U.S. 8th grade students in higher ability level classes study different material from students in lower level classes. In Germany and Japan, all students study basically the same material. One factor that may affect Japanese 8th graders' performance is that they are preparing for a high-stakes examination to determine which high school they will be accepted into at the end of the 9th grade. The TIMSS findings also dispelled several myths. Contrary to popularly held assumptions, the study found that U.S. teachers assign more homework and spend more class time discussing homework than teachers in Germany and Japan. At the same time, U.S. students report about the same amount of out-of-school mathematics and science study as their Japanese and German counterparts. And it was found that heavy TV watching is as common among Japanese 8th graders as it is among their U.S. counterparts. The report of TIMSS' initial findings sheds light on many issues and also raises important questions for further study.
What is truly new and revolutionary about TIMSS is that for the very first time, it allows us to identify specific and easy-to-understand factors that lead to better results in other parts of the world. Our challenge now is to take action on them, reapplying the best of them in our own classrooms, and do it sooner rather than later.
It's important that parents understand the results of the third International Math and Science Study and how we can work together to use those results to improve math and science education in America so that every child can succeed.
TIMSS shows us that we need to provide more focus to our teaching and to set higher standards.
Additional TIMSS data will be released in 1997 and 1998. These reports will include international and state-by-state information on mathematics and science achievement for 4th and 8th graders and students at the end of high school.
In TIMSS, not only do we have the comparative relationship to other countries of where we stand in math and science, but we also have, from the qualitative data, information about teaching, about students' lives, about what kids do after school, and all these things should help us improve education in the U.S.
Deeper analysis of TIMSS will help us understand why our performance is lower in mathematics than in science, and it will also help us understand the relationship between instruction, curriculum, and achievement.
TIMSS does not give us all the answers, but it does give us resources to put our own education system in international perspective. Careful study of these findings can assist educators, business leaders, teachers, and parents as they guide our nation in the pursuit of excellence in the 21st century.
Our children will always need to learn that 6 times 6 is 36 and gain a solid foundation in the basics. That is not going to change. But if we want to reach standards of excellence and ensure that our children have the skills they need to succeed, we certainly need to do better. Together we can reach world-class standards in math and science. But to do that, we have hard work ahead. I hope you will use the valuable information from the TIMSS study to help raise standards in America's schools.